Imagine waking up to a Lincoln Project ad so brutal it has Trump spray tan sweating. Melania's secret feelings? Exposed. Trump's reaction? A full-blown meltdown not on Twitter, but Truth Social. This ad hit so hard he's in full DEFCON mode, and let's just say, someone might be sleeping in a separate gold-plated bedroom tonight. What did they say to get under his skin this bad? Stick around, this one's juicy.
I'm your golden cow, your Moscow mule, oh laddie daddy. I'm your useful fool, shove your hand in all the way. I'm your puppet, tell me what to say.
Trump struts around like he's the final boss of politics, the Chuck Norris of comebacks. But let's be real, the man has the emotional durability of a soggy paper straw in a McDonald's milkshake. Every time the Lincoln Project drops a new ad, it's like flicking a booger at a chihuahua, except this one's covered in Cheeto dust, drowning in an XXL suit, and throwing a full-blown tantrum on Truth Social like a grandpa who lost his remote.
Donald Trump is a convicted felon, and if elected,
he says, "You're not going to be a dictator, are you?" I said, no, other than day one.
he is a danger to this country.
I did something that nobody thought was possible.
He will abolish your rights.
I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
He is a danger to our democracy.
I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break. There's nothing wrong with saying that you've recalculated.
He is a danger to national security.
I'm going to bomb the shit out of him.
He is a danger to our safety.
What's got Trump spiraling into another social media meltdown this time? Oh, just the usual, getting roasted like a Thanksgiving turkey for losing to Sleepy Joe, drowning in more legal trouble than a reality show villain, and watching his loyalists flip faster than a greasy burger at a roadside diner. The Lincoln Project isn't just throwing shade, they're hosting a full-scale comedy roast, serving up his failures on a silver platter while he chases them like a cat after a laser pointer.
The Lincoln Project salutes Vice President Donald Trump. As Vice President, Trump will finally have the time to do the things that make him happiest. Talk about old movies, playing on his phone, admiring the assets of other men. Meanwhile, President Musk can get down to the business of running the country. We at the Lincoln Project are confident that Donald Trump understands his...
Trump seeing a new Lincoln Project ad is like a cat realizing its reflection isn't another cat, pure chaos. The moment his eyes scan the words, you can almost hear the record scratch in his head. His grip tightens, Diet Coke quivers, and somewhere, a Mar-a-Lago staffer instinctively ducks for cover.
President Trump announced this month that the Gulf of Mexico is going to become the Gulf of America. Can Jimmy have some freedom fries with that? Well then, how about a big, beautiful canal instead?
And we're taking it back.
But if tropical isn't your thing, how about the land of ice and snow? Looks like Christmas is in January this year. Greenland. Or should we say,
And then, boom. The tantrum detonates. A ketchup bottle takes flight, splattering the walls like an avant-garde crime scene. Somewhere in Mar-a-Lago, a staffer instinctively braces for impact. The nearest golf course echoes with a shriek so unholy, it sounds like a bald eagle just stubbed its talon. His grip tightens on his phone, Diet Coke trembles, and his thumbs transform into tiny, rage-fueled missiles, blasting out a social media meltdown so unhinged even autocorrect gives up and walks away. Meanwhile, his rivals? Oh, they're loving it. They sit back, popcorn in one hand, a fresh list of insults in the other, knowing exactly what's coming, something about witch hunts, fake news, and a nickname so lazy it feels generated by a malfunctioning AI. And Putin? Let's just say he's in Moscow, getting a foot massage from a very disgruntled president. All of this, because of one tiny, microscopic, barely noticeable thing. And yet, it sends Trump into a full-throttle meltdown. I'm talking hair flapping, Diet Coke chugging, Twitter finger shaking, veins popping like overstuffed sausages levels of rage. His face? Redder than a ketchup stain on a Mar-a-Lago tablecloth. His Wi-Fi? Overheating from excessive rage. Refreshing.
Hello, Daniel Caldwell. This is the VA Crisis Response Hotline. We're calling to inform you that your emergency request for in-person counseling for PTSD has been denied. To stop fraud, waste, and abuse, these services will be replaced by VetCare AI.
This wasn't just any jab, it was a full-scale assault on Trump's ego, a brutal reminder that his iron grip on the GOP might not be as unbreakable as he believes. And the culprit? The Lincoln Project. Yes, them. The same never-Trump Republicans who have been living rent-free in his head since 2020, dropping ads so devastating they might as well be emotional drone strikes. Now, picture this, Trump sprawled out on one of his gold-plated, overstuffed chairs, so gaudy even Liberace would say, too much, gripping a big gulp-sized Diet Coke like it's an oxygen tank. His other hand clutches his phone, as if it holds the last remnants of his dignity.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, not you. Not you. Your organization's terrible. Your organization's terrible. Let's go. Go ahead. Quiet. Quiet. Go ahead. She's asking a question. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news. Go ahead.
He's scrolling, expecting the usual praise, comparisons to Lincoln, asterisk but better asterisk, conspiracy theories declaring him the rightful president, maybe even a "Sir, I cried when I saw this" from a guy with an American flag AV. But then, bam, right there, staring him down, is a Lincoln Project ad so ruthless, so disrespectful, his blood pressure spikes like a 4th of July firework. Maybe it's an old ally turning on him. Maybe it's a brutal reminder that his influence is fading. Or maybe it's just the phrase "one term, twice impeached loser" flashing across the screen. His pupils dilate. His breathing gets heavier.
He was the first president elected with the help of a hostile foreign power. That's not a hoax. It's the conclusion of the Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee and every national security agency. And what did the Russians get helping elect Trump in 2016? Turns out they got a lot. For decades, the greatest adversary of the Soviet Union and Vladimir Putin's Russia was the Republican Party. Now the Republican Party is the
The
heart.
ketchup on his well-done steak trembles. A Mar-a-Lago staffer peeks in, sees the incoming explosion, and immediately calls in sick, and then, it begins. The rant. A type-riddled, legally questionable, all-caps 3 a.m. Truth Social post where he calls the Lincoln Project losers, rhinos, and probably very nasty, very unfair people. The meltdown is in full swing. The Wi-Fi is crying. The Diet Coke is depleting. And the Lincoln Project? They're laughing all the way to their next brutal ad drop.
Watching the power grab and illegality going on in Washington, it's easy to feel helpless, like there's nothing you can do. Don't believe it. Every state has laws protecting your data online. The penalties for violation are civil and criminal. Elon Musk and his tech bros are not above the law, and a corrupt president has no ability to pardon state crimes.
Elon Musk has gained access to sensitive personal data on millions of Americans, including social security numbers and bank information. President Trump says he wants Musk to go even further.
Beyond just creating brutal anti-Trump ads, the masterminds behind the Lincoln Project, Steve Schmidt and Rick Wilson, made sure their voices were heard loud and clear. These weren't just political attacks, they were cinematic masterpieces. If Hollywood ever made a thriller called The Man Who Wouldn't Leave, Schmidt and Wilson would be the executive producers. But here's the real kicker, these ads weren't some anonymous, shadowy hit pieces floating around the internet. Oh no. The men behind them didn't just let their work speak for itself. They grabbed a megaphone, climbed onto the nearest soapbox, and told Trump exactly what they thought of him, no filters, no hesitation. And let's just say, they didn't hold back. Their words hit just as hard as their ads, making sure Trump felt every bit of the sting.
Conservative more than Republican. There's no Republican Party anymore. It's dead. Donald Trump killed it. He's like a parasite that ate its host from the inside out. It's over. So I'm one of the small group of survivors from the old school of limited government, individual freedom and liberty, constitutional adherence. There's not many of us. You could fit us around the table at a Waffle House most days. But, we're still sort of trying to hold the line in this.
For anyone living under a rock, or inside a gold-plated, tackily decorated penthouse, the Lincoln Project was founded by Republicans who took one look at Trump's presidency and said, yeah, no. We need to intervene, and intervene they did, crafting some of the most brutally effective political ads in modern history. Trump, of course, reacted the only way he knows how, by throwing a tantrum on social media, calling them losers, failures, and probably part of some deep state conspiracy. In Trump's world, anyone who doesn't kiss the ring, or the golf glove, is a traitor. But what made the Lincoln Project's ads so legendary?
They know that we will defeat them, but they're not coming after me, they're coming after you. I'm just standing in their way, and I always will stand in their way.
Unlike the usual bland, milquetoast political messaging, the Lincoln Project's ads hit Trump where it hurt most, his ego. They didn't just criticize him, they mocked him, exposed his incompetence, and painted him as the blubbering, ego-driven mess he proudly is. And Schmidt and Wilson? They didn't just drop these ads and disappear. They went on TV, podcasts, and social media, making sure the world knew exactly what they thought of Trump. They practically turned political trolling into an Olympic sport. Watching former Republicans roast Trump harder than a well-done steak at Mar-a-Lago? Chef's kiss, pure perfection.
Donald Trump wants you to be afraid. He wants you to have anxiety. It is all part of his political strategy to provoke rage and then more rage. He wants people to be angry because anger, in his estimation, is a preface to surrender, to hopelessness, to capitulation. The lies are coming faster and they're getting bigger and they're becoming more aggressive. They demand that you have amnesia.
These weren't your typical "we disapprove of our opponent's policies" type of ads. No, they were more like, "Hey America, here's your president, what a disaster." The Lincoln Project treated Trump like the world's worst reality show contestant, one who somehow stumbled into the White House instead of getting fired in the first round of The Apprentice. One ad, for example, aired in Washington, D.C. targeting just one person. Guess who? That's right, the only person who matters in Trump's world, Trump. It was so brutal you could practically hear Diet Coke cans being angrily crushed at 3 a.m., as he rage-tweeted in all caps. And they didn't stop there. They went after his failed businesses, his laughable leadership, and his inability to handle criticism. If Trump had a flaw, they put it under a microscope and broadcasted it to millions.
Or not, we will keep kicking your ass every single day. So if you want to try to sue us, Donald, go for it. Throw down. Let's go. We can't wait. You won't do it because you are, in fact, as I said previously, completely impotent. Just ask.
What truly made the Lincoln Project's work stand out? The fact that it came from Republicans. These weren't left-wing liberals who had opposed Trump from day one. These were lifelong conservatives, some even from the Bush administration, who took one look at Trump and said, "No thanks." That, of course, made his meltdowns even more spectacular. Steve Schmidt, in particular, seemed to relish dragging Trump publicly. Having played a key role in John McCain's 2008 campaign, this probably felt even sweeter, given McCain's long-standing feud with Trump. Meanwhile, Rick Wilson, a seasoned Republican attack ad expert, finally had a subject so cartoonishly awful he barely had to exaggerate. And the pettiness, oh, it was art, a masterclass in precision-guided trolling.
Republican senators don't care about your family's health. If Donald Trump says vote for a dangerous crank, they bow and kiss his ring. Even when it puts your children at risk, they should be ashamed of themselves. But they don't care.
The Lincoln Project wasn't just trying to defeat Trump, they were out to humiliate him. They attacked his intelligence, his maturity, or lack thereof, and his laughable strongman act. Their ads asked America, "Do you really want this guy in charge?" And for millions of voters, the answer was a resounding no.
Story of the hour is the collapse of the Trump campaign. His ludicrous remarks and speech while delivering supposedly comments about the economy were something for the ages. It seems Donald Trump has finally figured out how to go after Kamala Harris.
When Kamala lays out her fake economic plan this week, probably will be a copy of my plan.
Trump, of course, responded with his usual grace and poise, which is to say, none at all. He lashed out, called them names, and accused them of being washed-up losers, because nothing says "I'm totally not bothered" like an angry 3 a.m. tweet storm. And the irony? It was almost too perfect. Trump loves to paint himself as the ultimate dealmaker, the alpha male, the king of comebacks. Yet here were a bunch of his own people, lifelong Republicans who had spent decades fighting Democrats, completely dismantling him. Now, let's be real, the Lincoln Project wasn't perfect. They had their share of internal drama, and some accused them of caring more about making money than taking down Trump. But even if their motives weren't 100% pure, the results? Oh, those were absolutely delicious.
You know, I have a message for our MAGA friends. You are not allowed to be surprised. Oh my gosh, you're in the finding out phase? Well, guess what? You know why you got to the finding out phase? Because you fucked around. Here's the deal. I'm starting to see people in MAGA world and outside of the normal political stuff on social media.
At the end of the day, the Lincoln Project's ads did exactly what they were meant to do. They got under Trump's skin, exposed his incompetence, and gave millions of Americans something to laugh at in the middle of a political nightmare. And that, my friends, is how you fight Trump. Not with boring policy debates or polite disagreements, but by hitting him where it hurts, his ego. Schmidt and Wilson understood that. They didn't just fight Trump, they roasted him. And if there's one thing we've learned, it's that the best way to defeat a man who craves attention is to make him look ridiculous, which, let's be honest, wasn't hard.